Ever walk into a room and feel the tension before anyone says a word? Do you catch the shift in someone's voice before they even realize it themselves? Do you change who you are depending on who you are talking to without even thinking about it? Stay with me for a second because this might hit closer than you expect. Most people call that being observant or adaptable, but what if I told you that is not normal, not in the way you think? It is not just personality, it is training, and not the kind you signed up for. Somewhere along the way, you learned that paying attention was not optional. It was survival. You learned to read the air, to predict reactions, to stay one step ahead of conflict. And now you walk through life carrying abilities that most people never had to develop. Which is why sometimes you feel different, like you are playing a completely different game than everyone else. Here is the part no one tells you. The things you think are wrong with you might actually be the reason you have made it this far. The anxiety, the overthinking, the constant awareness. Those are not random flaws, they are patterns. And patterns can be understood. And once you understand them, you can take control. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 traits you likely developed without even realizing it. Traits that feel like a burden every single day. But if you learn how they work, they can become your biggest advantage. And listen carefully, because one of these might explain something about you that you have never been able to put into words. If that happens, I want you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment saying, "I see it now." Because what you are about to hear might change the way you see yourself forever. The moment you walk into a room, your body already knows who is safe and who is not, and you hate that. You are almost never wrong. Stay with me, because this is where everything starts to make sense. Imagine being a child standing in the doorway of your own home. You are not thinking about toys or cartoons. You are scanning the silence. You are reading footsteps. You are studying the way a door closes a little too hard. You learned early that small details were not small. They were warnings, and missing them came with a cost. So your brain adapted. It became faster, sharper, more alert than it was ever supposed to be. You did not choose this. You were trained into it. This is what I call the mind reader trait. Now, as an adult, you walk into any space, and within seconds, you can feel the tension. You can hear the difference in someone's tone, even when their words sound fine. You can sense when someone is pretending, when something feels off, when something danger is building before anyone else notices. And while other people take things at face value, you see what is underneath. That is the gift. You cannot be easily fooled. You see patterns, you read energy. You protect yourself before the damage is done. But here's the part you do not say out loud. Your brain never turns off. Even in safe moments, you are still scanning, still analyzing, still preparing. It is exhausting. It feels like living with an alarm system that goes off even when there is no fire. You are not overthinking, you are overtrained. And if this is hitting you right now, I need you to pause, like the video, subscribe, and comment Mind Reader. Because what comes next might explain the part of you that feels even more confusing. Because at some point, reading the room was not enough. You had to become what the room needed. Think about who you were, depending on where you were. At home, you were quiet, careful, invisible. At school, maybe you were funny or agreeable. With friends, you became the listener, the one who understood everyone. You learned how to switch versions of yourself so smoothly that people never questioned it. This is the shapeshifter. And let me say something that might sting a little. You are so good at being who people need that you forgot who you actually are. You adapted because being yourself was not safe. Being too loud, too emotional, too honest had consequences. So you adjusted, you performed, you became whatever kept the peace. Now people meet you and they like you. They say you are easy to talk to, easy to be around. But deep down, there's a question that follows you everywhere. Do they like me? Or do they like the version I gave them? That question is heavy because you do not even know the full answer yourself. But here is the truth most people never reach. You can walk into almost any situation and belong. You understand social dynamics faster than most. You know how to make people feel comfortable. That is not fake. That is a skill built from survival. The problem is not that you can adapt. The problem is you never learned when to stop. And if you have ever looked in the mirror and felt like you were staring at a stranger, I need you to stay with me, because the next part might be the one that controls your entire life. When was the last time you truly rested? Not distracted, not scrolling, not escaping. I mean real rest, where you did nothing and felt okay about it. You probably cannot remember, because somewhere along the way you learned that slowing down was dangerous, that resting meant you were falling behind. that your value came from what you could do, how much you could handle, how far you could push yourself. This is the always-on machine. You do not just work hard, you push through everything. You keep going when you are tired, when you are sick, when your mind is begging you to stop. And people admire that. They call you strong, disciplined, reliable, but they do not see what is underneath. You are not doing it because you want to. You are doing it because you do not know how to stop. Because stopping feels like losing control, and losing control feels like something bad is about to happen. So you keep moving, you stay productive, you stay useful, because deep down there's a fear that if you slow down, people will see that you are not enough. Listen carefully, that fear is not truth, it is conditioning. Your ability to endure is powerful. You can handle pressure, you can survive chaos, you can push through things that break other people. But if you never learn to rest, that same strength will burn you out from the inside. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to exist without earning it. And if this part is uncomfortable for you, good. That means you are finally hearing something you needed a long time ago. But there is one more piece, and this one is the quietest and the heaviest. Think about the last time you felt something deeply, sadness, anger, even happiness. Did you fully allow it, or did you question it, minimize it, push it away? If you grew up being told your feelings were too much, too dramatic, too inconvenient, then you did not learn how to feel. You learned how to hide. This is the emotional vault. You locked everything away because expressing it only made things worse. You learned to stay calm, to stay controlled, to not react, because reacting had consequences. Now, you move through life carrying emotions you never processed, and sometimes you feel nothing at all. Not because you do not have emotions, but because you buried them so deep you cannot reach them anymore. But here's the paradox. When things go wrong, when everything falls apart, you are the calmest person in the room. You do not panic, you do not break, you hold everything together while everyone else loses control. That is your strength. But the cost is disconnection from others and from yourself. You are not emotionless, you are overwhelmed. And the feelings you buried are still there, waiting for you to finally feel them safely. So here is what I need you to understand right now. Every part of you that feels too much, too complicated, too exhausting was built for a reason. You adapted to survive, but now you are not there anymore. And if even one of these traits made you stop and think that is me, then do not ignore that. Hit like, subscribe, and comment. I finally understand, because the next part is where everything changes. What if the parts of you that feel broken are actually the reason you survived? Let that sink in for a second, because this changes everything. You spent years thinking you were too much, too sensitive, too complicated, but the truth is you were never too much. You were just placed in an environment that could not handle what you were. Every trait you carry, the awareness, the adaptability, the drive, the control, it was not randomly built. It was forged. You learned to see what others miss. You learned to become what situations required. You learned to endure what most people would collapse under. And you learned to hold yourself together when no one else could. That is not weakness. That is training at a level most people will never understand. But here is where your life changes. You are not there anymore. You do not have to survive like that forever. You get to choose when to use these traits and when to let them rest. You get to stop performing. You get to breathe. You are not broken. You are someone who survived something hard and became powerful because of it. If this hit you in a way you did not expect, like this video, subscribe right now, and comment, "I choose to live." Because this is where your story stops being about survival and starts becoming about living.